Genesis chapter 20, New King James Version. Abraham and Amalek. And Abraham journeyed from there to the south and dwelt between Kadesh and Seir and stayed in Gerar. Now Abraham said to Sarah, his wife, she is my sister, and Amalek, king of Gomer, sent and took Sarah. But God came to Amalek into a dream by night and said to him, indeed, you are a dead man because of the woman whom you have taken, for she is a man's wife. But Amalek had not come near her, and he said, Lord, will you slay a righteous nation also? Did he not say to me, she is my sister? And even she herself said, he is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and innocence of my hand, I have done this. And God said to him in a dream, yes, I know that. You did this in the integrity of your heart, for I also withheld you from singing against me. Therefore I did not let you touch her. Now therefore restore the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you shall live. But if you do not restore her, now that you shall surely die, and you and all who are yours. So Amalek rose early into the morning and called all of his servants and told all these things in their hearing, and the men were ever much afraid. And Amalek called Abraham and said to him, what have you done to us? How have I offended you, that you have brought on me, on my kingdom, and great sin? You have done deeds to me that ought not be done. Then Amalek said to Abraham, what did you have in view that you have done these things? And Abraham said, because I thought surely the fear of God is not in this place, and they will kill me on account of my wife. But indeed she is truly my sister. She is my daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother. And she became my wife. And it came to pass, when God caused me to wander from my father's house, that I had said to her, this is your kindness that you should do for me. In every place where we go, say for me, this is my brother. Then Amalek took sheep, oxen, and male and female servants, and gave them to Abraham. And he restored Sarah, his wife, to him. And Amalek said, see, my land is before you, dwell there. Its place it pleases you then to Sarah. He said, behold, I have given your brothers 1,000 pieces of silver. Indeed, this vindicates you before all who are with you, and before everybody. This she was rebuked. So Abraham prayed to God, and gave God headed Amalek, his wife, and his female servants. Then they bore children, for the Lord had closed up all of the wombs of the house of Amalek because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Chapter 21. Isaac is born. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which God had spoken to. Him and Abraham called into the name of his son, who was born to Abraham, whom Sarah bore to him Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. Now Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. And Sarah said, God has made me laugh, and all who hear will laugh with me. She also said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children, for I have bore him a son in his old age. Hagar and Ishmael departed. So the children grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the same day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had bore in Abraham, scoffing. Therefore she said to Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for this son of the bondwoman shall not be here with my son, namely with Isaac. And the matter was very displeasing in Abraham's sight because of the son. But God said to Abraham, do not let it be displeasing in your sight because of the lad, or because of your bondwoman. Whatever Sarah had said to you, listen to her voice, for it is Isaac your seed shall be called. Yet I will also make a nation of the son of the bondwoman, because he is your seed. So Abraham rose early into the morning and took bread and the skin of water, and putting it onto her shoulder, he had given it and the boy of Hagar, and sent her away. Then she departed and wandered into the wilderness Beershed, and the water into the skin was used up, and she placed the boy wandered one of the cherubs. Then she went and sat down across from him at the distance of about a bowl shot of. She said to herself, let me not see the death of the boy. She sat opposite of him and lifted her voice and wept, and God heard the voice of her lad. And then the angel of God called to Hagar out of the heavens and said to her, what allies you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise and lift up your lad, and hold him with your hand, for I will make him a great nation. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the skin with water, and gave the lad a drink. So God was with the lad, and he grew and dwelt into the wilderness, and became an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt, the covenant with Amalek. And it had come to pass at the time that Amalek and Pilhal, Phichol, the commander of the army, spoke to Abraham, saying, God is with you in all that you do. Now, therefore, swear to me by God that you will not deal falsely with me, with your offspring, with your posterity, but that according to the kindness that I have done to you, you will do to me and into the land in which you have dwelt. And Abraham said, I will swear. Then Abraham rebuked Abimelech because of a well of water which Abimelech's servants had sized. Then Abimelech said, I do not know who has done this thing you did not tell me, nor had I heard of it until today. So Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them to Abimelech, and the two of them made a covenant. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. Then Abimelech asked Abraham, what is the meaning of this 7 ewe lambs which you have set by themselves? And he had said, you will take these 7 ewe lambs for my hand, that they may be my witness, and that I have dug this well. Therefore he have called that place Beersheba, because the two of them swore an oath there. Thus they made a covenant of Beersheba. So Abimelech arose with Pelhal, the commander of his army, and they returned to the land of the Philistines. Then Abraham planted a tamarack tree in Beersheba, and there called on to the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. And Abraham strayed into the land of the Philistines many days. Chapter 22. Chapter 22. Abraham's faith and confidence. Abraham's faith and comfort. Now it has come to pass after these things that God has tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham, and he had said, Here I am. Then he said, Take now your son, your only son Isaac, whom you have loved, and go into the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. So Abraham arose early in the morning, and saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and he split the wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went into the place of which God had told him. Then on the 3rd day Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place of afar off, and Abraham said to him, his young men, Stay here with the donkey, the lad, and I will go yonder and worship, and we will come back to you. So Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son, and he had took the fire in his hand and a knife, and the 2 of them went together. But Isaac spoke to Abraham his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. Then he said, Look, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb of a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, God will provide for him the lamb for a burnt offering. So the two of them went together. Then they came to this place of which God had told them. And Abraham built an altar there, and placed the wood in order. And he bounded Isaac his son, and laid him onto the altar upon the wood. And Abraham struck out his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. So he said, Here I am. And he said, Do not lay your hand on the lad, or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. Then Abraham lifted his eyes and looked, and there behind him was a ram caught into the thicket by his horns. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up for Abraham's offering instead of his son. And Abraham called the name of this place, The Lord will provide, as it is said unto this day, In the mountain of the Lord it shall be provided. Then the angel of the Lord had called to Abraham a second time out of the heavens, and said, By myself I have sworn, saying, The Lord, because you have done this thing, and has not withheld your son, your only son, blessing I will bless you, and I will multiply your descendants, as the stars of the heavens, and as the sand which is on the seashore, and your descendants shall possess the gates of their enemies. In your seed, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned to his young men, and they arose and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. The family of Norah. Now it has come to pass after these things, that it was Abraham's saying, Indeed, Michal also had borne children to your brother Norah, Huz, Huz, his firstborn, and Huz, his brother, Kamel, the father of Abraham, Cheesed Perez, Cheese is Chesed, and Hazo is Hazo, the Fildash, and Jelpha, and Bethel begot Rebekah. These 8 Michal born to the Nahor, Abraham's brother, his concubine, whose name was Raham, also born Telba, Gaham, Telhash, and Michal. Chapter 23. Sarah dwelt death and burial. Sarah lived 120 years. Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. So Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn from Sarah, and to weep for her. Then Abraham stood up from before. He died before his dead, and spoke to the son of Heth, saying, I am a foreigner and a visitor among you, giving me property for a burial place among you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the son of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my Lord. You are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choices of your burial places. None of us will withhold from you his burial place, that you may bury your dead. Then Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, the son of Heth, and he spoke with them, saying, It is your wish that I bury my dead out of my sight. Hear me and meet with Ephron, the son of Zorha, for me, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which is at the end of his field. Let him give it to me at that time of that full price, let him give it to me at that full price as a property of burial place among you. Now Ephron dwelt among the sons of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham into the presence of the son of Heth, all who entered at that gate of his city, saying, No, my Lord, hear me, and I have given you the field and the cave that is in it, and I give it to you in the presence of the sons of my people, and I have given it to you. Bury your dead. Then Abraham bowed himself down before the people of the land, and he has spoken to Ephron into hearing of this people of the land, saying, If you will give it, please hear me, and I will give you money for the field. Take it for me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, My Lord, listen to me, that the land is worth 400 shekels for silver. That is, what is that between you and me? So bury your dead. And Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out the silver for Ephron, which he had named in the hearing of the son of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, currency of the merchants. So the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was in it, and all the trees that were in the field, which were within all the surrounding borders, which were deeded to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the sons of Heth, before all who went in at that gate of his city. And after this, Abraham burned Sarah, his wife, in the cave and the field of Machpelah before Mamre. This is Hebron in the land of Canaan. So the field and the cave that is in it were indeeded to Abraham by his sons of Heth as property for a burial place. Chapter 24. A bride of Isaac. Now Abraham was old, well advanced in age, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all of things. So Abraham said to the oldest servant of his house, who ruled over all over he had, Please put your hand under my thigh, and I will make you swear by the Lord, the God of the heavens and the God of the earth, that you will not take a wife of my son, my daughter of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell, but you shall go to the country and to my family and take a wife for my son Isaac. And the servant said to him, perhaps the woman will not be willing to follow me to this land. Much must I take your son back to the land from which you have come? But Abraham said to him, beware that you do not take my sons back there. The Lord God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my family, and who has spoken to me and swore to me, saying, to your descendants I have given this land. He who sends his angels before you, and you shall take a wife for my sons from there. And if the woman is not willing to follow you, then you will be released from the oath. Only do not take my son back there. So that the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham and his master, and swore to him concerning this matter. Then the servant took 10 of his master's camels and departed. From all of his master's goods were in his hand, and his arrows, and went into Mesopotamia, the city of Noah. And he had made the camels kneel down outside into the city by the well of the water at evening time, the time when women go out to draw water. Then he said, O Lord God of my master Abraham, please give me success this day, and show kindness to my master Abraham. Behold, here I stand by the well of water, and the daughters of the men of the cities are coming but to draw water. Now let it be that the young woman to whom I've said, please let down your pitcher, and I may drink, and she says, drink, and I will also give your camels a drink. Let her be the one you have appointed for your servant Isaac, and by this I will know that you have shown kindness to my master. And it has happened, before he had finished speaking, that behold, Rebekah, who was born to Bethuel, the son of Melech, the wife of Nor, and Abraham, the brother, have come out to her pitcher on her shoulder. Now that the young woman had very beautiful to behold, a virgin, no man had known her, as she had went down into the well, filling her pitcher, and came up, and into the servant ran to meet her, and said, please let me drink a little water from your pitcher. So that she said, drink, my lord. Then she quickly let her pitcher down to her hand, and gave him a drink. And then she had finished giving him a drink, she said, I will draw water for your camels also until they have finished drinking. Then she quickly emptied her pitcher into the stall, and ran back to the well, and drew water for the camels. And the man wondered at her remaining silent, so as to know whether the Lord had made his journey prosper or not. So it was when the camels had finished drinking that the man took a golden nose ring, weighing half of a shekel, and 2 bracelets for her wrists, weighing 10 shekels of gold, and said, "Whose daughter are you? Tell me, please, is there room in your father's house for us to lodge?" So she said to him, "I am the daughter of Bethuel, Michal's son, whom she bore in Noram." Moreover, she said to him, "We have both straw and feed, enough and room to lodge." Then the man bowed down his head and worshipped the Lord, and he said, "Blessed be the Lord God of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his mercy and his truth were towards my master. As for me being on the way, the Lord led me to the house of my master's brethren." So the young woman ran and told her mother's household these things. Now Rebekah had a brother whose name was Laban, and Laban ran out to the man by the well. So it had come to pass, when he saw that the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's wrist, and when he heard the words of his sister Rebekah, saying, "Thus the man spoke to me," that he went to the man, and there he stood by the camels in the well. And he had said, "Camel, come in, O blessed in the Lord. Why do you stand outside? For I have prepared the house, and I have placed for the camels." Then the man came into the house, and he uploaded the camels, and provided straw and feed for the camels, and water to wash his feet, and the feet of the men who were with him. Food was set before him to eat, but he said, "I will not eat until I have told about my Aaron." And he had said, "Speak on." So he said, "I am Abraham's servant. The Lord had blessed my master greatly, and he has become great, and he has given him flocks and herds, silver and gold, male and female servants, and camels and donkeys. And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master when she was old, and to him he has given all that he has. Now my master's made me swear, saying, 'You shall not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell, but you shall go to my father's house and to my family and take a wife for my son.' And I said to my master, 'Perhaps the woman will not follow me.' But he said to me, 'The Lord before whom I walk will send his angels with you and prosper your way, and you shall take a wife for my sons from my family and from my father's house. You will be clear from this oath when you arrive among my family, for if they will not give her to you, then you will be released from my oath.' And this day I have come to the well and said, 'O Lord God of my master Abraham, if you will now prosper the way in which I go, behold, I stand by the west of the waters, and it shall come to pass that when the virgin comes out to draw water, and I say to her, Please give me a little water from your pitcher to drink, and she says to me, Drink, and I will draw for your camels also. Let her be the woman from the Lord has appointed for my master's son. But before I had finished speaking in my heart, there were Rebekah coming out with the pitcher of her shoulder, and she went down to the well and drew water. And I had said to her, Please let me drink. And she made haste and let her pitcher down from the shoulder and said, Drink, and I will give your camels a drink also. So I drank, and she gave me the camels, and she gave the camels a drink also. Then I asked her and said, Whose daughter are you? And she said, The daughter of Bethuel, Nor's son, whom Michal bore to him. So I put the nose ring and the nose in her nose and the bracelets on her wrists, and I bowed my head and worshipped the Lord and blessed the Lord, God of my master Abraham, who had laid me into the way of the truth to make the daughters of my master brethren for his sons. Now, if you will dwell kindly and truthfully with me, with my master, tell me, and if not, tell me that I might turn to the right hand or to the left. Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, The thing coming from the Lord, we cannot break to you either bad or good. Here is Rebekah before you. Take her and go, and let her be your master's son's wife, as the Lord had spoken. And it has come to pass, when Abraham's servant heard their words, that he worshipped the Lord, bowed himself to the earth. Then the servant brought out jewelry of silver and jewelry of gold, and clothed and given them to Rebekah. He also gave precious things to her brothers and her mother. And he and the men who were with him ate and drank and stayed all night. Then they arose into the morning, and he said, Send me away to my master. But hear, brother, and hear, mother, say, Let the young woman stay with us for a few days, at least 10. After then she may go. And he said to them, Do not hinder me, since the Lord had prospered my way. Send me away so that I might go into the master. So they said, We will call the young woman and ask her personally. Then they have called Rebekah and said to her, Well, you go with this man. And she said, I will go. So they went away, Rebekah and their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men. And they blessed Rebekah and said to her, Our sister, may you become the mother of our thousands of 10,000s, and may your descendants possess the gates of those who had hated them. And the Rebekah and her maids arose, and they rode on the camels and followed the men. So the servant took Rebekah and departed. Now Isaac came from the way of Beer-lahai, is Lahai, and Roi, from the dwelling of the son of south. And Isaac went out to the Midianite into the field of the evening, and he lifted his eyes and looked, and there the camels were coming. Then Rebekah lifted her eyes, and then she saw Isaac. She dismounted from her camels from the hand, saying to the servant, Who is the man walking in the field to meet us The servant said, "It is my master." So she took a veil and covered herself, and the servant told Isaac all the things that he had done. Then Isaac brought her into his master Sarah's tent, and he took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. Abraham and Keturah. Abraham, chapter 25. Abraham again took a wife, and her name was Keturah, and she bore him Zermah, Jocham, Mediah, Esher, Brok, and Sarah. Jochram, Jackson begot Sheba and Dedan, and the son of Dedan were Asherim, Lesherim, and Lehamrim, and the son of Mechal were Ephron, and Noch, and Adria, and Aldea, and all of these were the children of Keredah. And Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac, but Abraham gave gifts to the sons of the Canaanites which Abraham had. And while he had still living, and while he was still living, he had sent them eastward afterward from Isaac his son, in the country of the east, Abraham's death and burial. This is the sum of the years of Abraham's life, which he had lived 175 years. Then Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered into his people, and his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him into the cave of Machpelah, Machepelh, which is before Mamre, into the field of Ephron, the son of Zorah the Hittite, the field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth. There Abraham was buried, and Sarah his wife, and it has come to pass after the death of Abraham that God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt into bearing Lahar and Ram. The families of the Ishmael and Isaac. Now this is the genealogy of Ishmael, Abraham the son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah manservant, bore to Abraham, and these were the names of the sons of Ishmael, by their names as Isaac, according to the genealogies of the firstborn of Ishmael: Nedajoth, the Kedar, Adbel, Besham, Mishhama, Dunham, Mesha, Hadar, Tema, Jetur, Naphish, and Kedaman. These were the sons of Ishmael, and these were the names by the towns and their settlements, 12 princes according to their nations. These were the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years, and he had breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people. They dwelt from Havilah, Havilah, as far as Shur, which is in the east of Egypt, as you go toward Assyria, Assyria. He died in the presence of all of his brethren. This is the genealogy of Isaac, Abraham's son, Abraham between Isaac, and Isaac as 40 years old when he had taken Rebekah as his wife, and his daughters of Bethel as Syrian, of Padian, Aram, the sister of Ledian and Syrian. Now Isaac's pleased with the Lord for his wife, because she was born, and the Lord granted his plea, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived, but the children struggled together within her, and she said, "If all is well, why am I like this?" So she went to ignore of the Lord, and the Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your womb, two people shall be separated from your body. One people shall be strong than the other, and the older shall serve the younger." So when her days were fulfilled for her to give birth, indeed there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red, and he was like a hairy garment all over, and so they called his name Esau, Esau. Afterward his brother came out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, so his name was called Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old. Then she bore them. So the boy grew, and Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field, but Jacob was a mild man, dwelt in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he ate his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Esau sold his birthright. Now Jacob cooked a stew, and Esau came from the field, and he was weary, and Esau said to Jacob, "Please feed me with that same red stew, for I am weary." Therefore his name was called Edom. But Jacob said, "Sell me your birthright as of the day." And Esau said, "Look, I am about to die, so what is this birthright to me?" Then Jacob said, "Swear to me as of this day." So he bore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob, and Jacob gave Esau bread and stew for lentils. Then he ate and drank, arose, and went his merry way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Chapter 26. Isaac and Amalek. There was a famine in the land, besides the first famine that was in the day of Abraham and Isaac, and went to Abraham Amalek, the king of the Philistines, in Gerar. Then the Lord appeared to him and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land of which I shall give to you. Dwell in this land, and I will be with you, and you bless you. For to you and your descendants I will give to you all these lands, and I will perform the oath which I swore to Abraham and to your fathers, and I will make your descendants multiply as the stars of the heavens, and I will give to your descendants all of these lands, and in your seed all of the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statute, and my laws." So Isaac dwelt in Gerar, and the man of that place asked about his wife, and he said, "She is my sister," for it was afraid to say, "She is my wife," because he thought, lest the man of this place be killed me. For Rebekah, because she is beautiful to behold, now it has come to pass, when he had been there a long time, and Alamech, the king of the Philistines, looked through a window and saw, and there was Isaac, showing endearment to Rebekah his wife. Then Alamech called Isaac and said, "Quite observantly, she is your wife, so how could you say she is my sister?" Isaac said to him, "Because I said, lest I die on account of her." And Alamech said, "What is this you have done to us? One of the people might some have lain with your wife, and you would have brought guilt on us." So Alamech charged all of his people, saying, "He who touches this man's or his wife shall surely be put to death." Then Isaac sowed in the land and reaped in the same year 100-fold, and the Lord blessed him. Then the man began to prosper and continued prospering until he had become very prosperous, for he had possessions of flocks and possessions of herds and a great number of servants. So the Philistines invited him. Now the Philistines had stopped up all the wells which his father's servants had dug into the day of Abraham his father, and they had filled them with the earth. And Alamech said to Isaac, "Go away from us, for you are much mightier than we." Then Isaac departed from there and pitched his tent into the valley of Gerar and dwelt there. And Isaac dug again the well of the water which they had dug into the days of Abraham and his father, for the Philistines had stopped them up after the death of Abraham, and he had called them by the name which his father had called them. Also Isaac's servant dug into the valley and found a well of running water there. But the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with Isaac, herdsmen, saying, "The water of ours." So he had called the name of the well Escu, because they quarreled with him. Then they dug another well, and they quarreled over that one also. So he called the name of Sitnah, and he moved from there and dug another well, and they did not quarrel over it. So he called the name of Raharth, because he said, "For now the Lord had made room for us, and we shall be fruitful into the land." Then he went up from there to Beersheba, and the Lord appeared to him the same night and said, "I am the Lord God of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you, and I will bless you and multiply your descendants for my servant Abraham's sake." So he built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord, and he pitched his tent there. And there Isaac's servant dug a well. Then Abimelech came to him from Gerar with Apharzath, one of his friends, and Pilha, the commander of his army. And Isaac said to them, "Why have you come to me, since you hate me and have sent me away from you?" But they said, "We have certainly seen that the Lord is with you." So that we said, "Let there now be an oath between us, between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you, that you will do to us no harm, since we have not touched you, and since we have done nothing to you but God, and have sent you away in pieces. You are now the blessing of the Lord. So we had made that feast, and they ate and drank. Then they arose early into the morning and swore an oath with one another, and Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in pieces. It has come to pass the same day that Isaac's servants had come and told him about the well which they had dug, and said to him, We had found water. So he had called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. When Eshu was 40 years old, he had took wives, Jodith, the daughter of Bera, the Hittite, and Bashmath, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite, and they were a grief of mind of Isaac and Rebekah. 27. Isaac blessed Jacob. Now it has come to pass, when Isaac was old, and his eyes were so dim that he could not see, that he had called Eshurah, his older son, and said to him, My son. And he answered him, Here I am. Then he had said, Behold, now I am old, and I do not know the day of my death. Now, therefore, please take your weapons, your quiver and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt game for me, and make me severe food, such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, what my soul may bless you before I die. Now Rebekah was listening. Then Isaac spoke to Eshu, his son, and Eshu went to the field and hunted game, and to bring it to Rebekah spoke to Jacob and her son, saying, Indeed, I have heard your father speaking to Eshu, your brother, saying, Bring me game and make savor food for me, that I may eat it and bless you into the presence of the Lord before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to what I have commanded to you, and go now to the flock and bring me from there 2 choice kids and of goats, and I will make savor food for them for your father, such as he loves. Then you shall go and take it to your father, that he may eat it, and that it may be blessed with you before his death. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Look, Eshu, my brother is hardly a man, and I am a smooth-skinned man. I'm going to read that again. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Look, Eshu, my brother is hairy man, and I am a smooth-skinned man. Perhaps my father will feel me, and I shall seem to be a deceiver to him, and I shall bring a curse on myself, and not a blessing. But his mother said to him, Let your curse be unto me and my son. Only obey my voice and go and get them for me. And he went and got them and brought them to his mother. And his mother made savory food, such as his father has loved. Then Rebekah took the choice clothes, and her elder son Eshu, which were with her, into the house, and put them on Jacob and younger son, and she put the skins of the kid of the goats onto his hand and onto his smooth part of his neck. Then she gave the savory food and to the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob, so that he had went into his father and said, "My father." And he said, "Here I am. Who are you, my son?" Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn, and I have done just as you have told me. Please arise, sit and eat of my game, that your soul may be blessed me." But Isaac said to his son, "Who is it that you have founded it quickly, my son?" And he had said, "Because the Lord your God had brought it to me." Isaac said to Jacob, "Please come near, and I may feel you, my son, whether you are really my son, Esau, or not." So Jacob went near to Isaac, his father, and he felt him and said, "The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau." And he did not recognize him, because his hands were hairy like the brethren of Esau's hands. So he had blessed him. Then he had said, "You are really my son, Esau?" And he said, "I am." And he said, "Bring it to me." He said, "Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's game, so that my soul be blessing you." So he brought it near to him, and he ate. And he had brought him wine, and he had drunk. Then his father Isaac said to him, "Come near now, and kiss me, my son." And he had come near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his clothes, and blessed him, and said, "Surely the smell of my son is like the smell of the field, which the Lord had blessed. Therefore, my God, give it to you, and the dew of heaven, of the fatness of the earth, and plenty of gain and wine. Let people serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be master over your brethren, and let your mother's son bow down to you. Cursed be anyone who curses you, and blessed be those who bless you." Esau's lost hope. Now it has happened, as soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had surely gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother had come in from his hunting. He also had made savory food and brought it to his father, and said to his father, "Let my father arise and eat of his son's game, and that your soul be blessed with me." And his father Isaac said to him, "Who are you?" So he said, "I am your son, your first son born, Israel." Then Isaac trembled exceedingly, and said, "Who? Where is the one who hunted game and brought it to me? And I have ate all of it before he had come, and I have come to bless him." And indeed he said, "Be blessed." Then Esau heard the words of his father. He cried within an exceedingly great and bitter cry, and said to his father, "Bless me, me also, O father." But he said, "Your brother came with deceit, and has taken away your blessing." And Esau said, "Is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He has taken away my birthright, and now, look, he has taken away my blessing." And he had said, "Have you not served a blessing for me?" Then Isaac answered and said to Esau, "Indeed I have made him your master, and all of the brethren I have given to him, and servants. With grain and wine I have satisfied him. That shall I do now for you, my son." And Esau said to his father, have you only one blessing, my father. Bless me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Then Isaac his father answered and said to him, Behold, your dwellings shall be with the fatness of the earth, and the dew of the heaven from above. By your words you shall live, and you shall serve your brother. And it shall come to pass when you become restless, that you shall break his yoke from your neck. Jacob escapes from Esau. So Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing with which his father has blessed him. And Esau said to his heart, The day of mourning for my father are at hand, and I will kill my brother Jacob. And the word of Esau, her older son, were told to Rebekah, so that she was and called Jacob her young son, and said to him, Surely your brother in Esau as comforts himself concerning you by intending to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice. Arise and flee to your brother Laban in Haran, and stay with him a few days, until your brother's fury returns. I'm going to read this again. Surely your brother Esau has comforted himself, and you're intended to kill you. Now therefore, your son, obey my voice. Arise and flee into my brother Laban in Haran, and stay with him a few days, until your brother's fury returns away, until your brother's anger returns away from you, and he forgets what you have done to him. Then I will send and bring you from there. Why should I be bereaved also? For both is one day. And Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the death of Heth. If Jacob takes a wife of the daughters of Heth, like these who are the daughters of the land, that go with my life be to me. Chapter 28. Then Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said to him, You shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. Arise and go to Paddan Aram, into the house of the Bethel, your mother's father, and take yourself a wife from where the daughters of Laban, your mother and your brothers. May God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and multiply you, that you may be an assembly for your peoples, and give you the blessing of Abraham to you and your descendants with you, that you may inherit the land in which you are a stranger, which God gave to Abraham. So Isaac sent Jacob away, and he had went into Paddan Aram for Laban, the son of Bethuel, the Syrian, the brother of the Rebekah, and the mother of Jacob, Esau. Esau marries Melech. Esau saw that Isaac and blessed Jacob, and sent him away to Paddan Aram to take himself a wife from there, and that as he has blessed him, he gave him a charge, saying, You shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. And that Jacob had obeyed his father and his mother, and had gone to Paddan Aram. Also Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan did not please his father Isaac. So Esau went to Ishmael and took Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nerjath, to his wife in addition of the wise he had Jacob view a battle. Now Jacob went out before Beersheba and went towards Haran, so that he had come to the certain place and stayed there at night, because the sun had set, and had taken one of the stones of that place and put it at the head, and he laid down into that place to sleep. Then he dreamt, and behold, a ladder was set up onto the earth. Now pause there. That's Jacob's ladder. This is Genesis 28, which is Jacob's ladder. And it has stopped, and its top reached to the heavens, and there the angel of God were ascending and descending onto it. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord your God of Abraham your father, and the God of Isaac, and the land which you have lied, I will give you, and your descendants. Also your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread abroad to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south, and into you, and in your seed, and all the families of the earth, and shall be blessed. Behold, I am with you, and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land, for I will not leave you until I have done what I have spoken to you. Then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid and said, Now how awesome is this place, that this is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. Then Jacob arose early into the morning and took the stone that he had put as his head, set it up as a pillar, and poured oil onto the top of it. And he called the name of this place Bethel. But the name of the city had been Luz previously. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, If God will be with me and keep me into this way that I am going, and give me bread to eat and clothing to put on, so I am back to my father's house into this place, then the Lord shall be my God, and this stone which I have set as a pillar shall be God's house. And of all that you give me, I will surely give a tenth to you. Chapter 29. Jacob meets Rachel. So Jacob went into his journey and came to the land of the people of the east, and he looked and saw that the well in the field, and held there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it, for out of that while they watered the flocks, a large stone was onto the well of the mount, and now all the flocks would be gathered there, and they would roll the stone from the well, water the sheep, and put the stones back into the place of the well's mouth. And Jacob said to them, My brethren, where are you from? And they said, We are from Haran. Then he had said to them, Do you know Lebanon, the son of Naran? And they said, We know him. So he said to them, Is he well? And they said, He is well, and look, his daughter Rachel is coming with sheep. Then he said, Look, it is still high day, into the not time for the cattle to gather together, water the sheep, and go and feed them. But they said, We cannot until all the flocks and gathering to the gather, and they have rolled the stones from the well, moth them with water the sheep. Now, while he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep for she has a shepherdess. And it has come to pass, when Jacob saw Rachel and the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well, moth and water, the flock of Lebanon, the mother's brother. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father relative, and that he was Rebekah's son. So she ran and told her father. Then it had come to pass, when Laban heard the report about Jacob his sister son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. So he had told Laban all these things, and Laban said to him, "Surely you are my bone and my flesh." And he stayed with him for a month. Jacob marries Leah and Rachel. Then Laban said to Jacob, "Because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me that your wages be." Now Lebanon had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were delicate, but Rachel's was beautiful in appearance. Now Jacob loved Rachel, so he said, "I will serve you 7 years for Rachel, your young daughter." And Laban said, "If it is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man, stay with me." So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed only a few days to him because of the love he had for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go into her." And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. Now it has come to pass in the evening that he had taken Leah his daughter and brought her to Jacob, and he had went into her, and Laban gave his maid Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a maid. And so it had come to pass in the morning that, behold, it was Leah, and he had said to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? Was it not for Rachel that I have served you? Then why have then you deceived me?" And Laban said, "If you do not..." And Laban said, "It must not be done so in our country, to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give you this one also for the service which you will serve with me still another 7 years." Then Jacob did so and fulfilled her week, so that he had given him daughters and Rachel as a wife also. And Laban gave his maid Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as a maid. Then Jacob also went into Rachel, and he also loved Rachel more than Leah, and he served with Laban still another 7 years. The children of Jacob. Then the Lord saw that Leah was unloved. He had opened the womb, but Rachel was barren. So Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Reuben. For she said, "The Lord has surely loved on my affliction. Now therefore my husband will love me." Then she conceived and bore a son, and said, "Because the Lord had heard that I am unloved, and he had therefore given me this son also." And she had called him Simeon. She conceived again and bore a son, and said, "Now this time my husband will become attached to me, because I have bore him 3 sons." Therefore his name was called Levi. And she conceived again and bore a son, and said, "Now I will praise the Lord." Therefore she called his name Judah, Judah. Then she stopped bearing. Chapter 30, in there.